Okay, so picture this. July 17th, 1944. You've got one of the most brilliant, legendary generals in history, and he's absolutely convinced he can still win the fight for Normandy. I mean, this guy is a master of speed, of gut instinct, but he's about to come face to face with an enemy he can't outsmart, an enemy he can't outrun. And that enemy, it's an entire industrial system.
So, how does a military legend like that meet his end? You'd probably imagine some epic, climactic duel, right? A final dramatic showdown. But what if it wasn't like that at all? What if the end came in a way that was totally impersonal, almost, industrial?
Yeah, because that's exactly the story we're diving into. This isn't about a duel between generals. It's about a 3-second encounter with a factory. It's the story of how Germany's most famous soldier wasn't taken out by another brilliant commander, but by a system, a literal production line that just happened to have wings.
So, to really get the sheer shock of what's about to happen, you first have to understand the man himself, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel. And believe me, he wasn't just a general. The guy was a phenomenon.
I mean, just think about this for a second. His number one opponent, Winston Churchill, actually stood up in Parliament and said this about him. That's the kind of respect Rommel commanded, even from the people trying to defeat him. He was a flat-out legend, even while the war was still raging.
So, what was his secret sauce? What made him so good? Well, it all came down to his doctrine. His entire career was built on pure, blistering speed. So fast, he'd often outrun his own supply lines. He had this uncanny intuition, a sixth sense for what the enemy was going to do next. And he wasn't hiding in some bunker, oh no. He led from the very front, which is how he earned the nickname the Desert Fox from his enemies. His unit was called the Ghost Division for a reason. It would just pop up where you least expected it. For Rommel, warfare was an art. But here's the thing. By 1944, the art of war was being crushed by the cold, hard math of industrial production. Rommel thought his enemy was the army right in front of him, the one he could see. He was dead wrong. His real enemy was invisible, and it was absolutely everywhere. Get a load of this number. By July 1944, the Allies were flying over 13,000 sorties. That's 13,000 individual flights every single day over Normandy. That isn't an air force. That is a total, complete saturation of the sky. And this really gets to the heart of it. For every one aircraft engine the Germans could produce, the Allies were churning out 20. 20, think about that. It's not a fair fight. It's not even a fight. It's an industrial avalanche. And the chosen weapon of this new system was something called the Jabo, the fighter bomber. Now, these guys weren't the glamorous aces you see in the movies, hunting for glory in dogfights. No, they were more like workers on a production line of destruction. Their job was simple, and it was brutal. Fly low, find anything that moves, and just erase it. And this is the key thing to understand. American factories alone were spitting out 8,000 planes a month. So what you're seeing here isn't an Air Force that relies on the skill of individual pilots. No, this is an industrial conveyor belt with wings. It's a relentless machine that literally turned the sky into a weapon. So this is the setup. You've got Rommel, the ultimate artist of maneuver warfare, stuck facing this completely new reality in Normandy. And on July 17th, he makes a fatal miscalculation. He still thinks he can play by the old rules. See, Rommel's whole strategy, his entire genius, was about finding a gap in the enemy line and punching through. But in 1944, there were no gaps. The whole idea was just gone. This was a three-dimensional war now. The enemy wasn't just in front of you, they were above you all the time. It's like he was trying to play a brilliant game of speed chess while his opponent just decided to set the whole board on fire. So can a genius really outgamble a system that's already calculated his chances of survival? He was trusting his luck, his driver's skill, his own ability to move fast and slip through the cracks. But he was basically betting his life against a system that had already crunched the numbers. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when his number would come up. And that brings us right to the climax, the late afternoon of July 17th, 1944. This whole epic clash between the man and the machine, it's all about to come down to just 3 seconds on a dusty road in France. Okay, so the scene is tense. The front is near collapse. Rommel's in his staff car telling his driver, faster, faster. He's speeding along an exposed road, and for a moment, the sun breaks through the clouds, lighting him up like a spotlight. A perfect target. And way up above, an RAF Spitfire patrol spots a single car kicking up dust. Just another routine day, just another potential target. And the attack itself is just so clinical. The pilot acquires the target, a single, fast car. He has no special intel, no idea who's inside. It's just a target of opportunity. He peels off into a dive, closing in at almost 600 feet per second. Then a quick 2-second burst from his cannons. Job done. It's just another step on the assembly line of war.
And here's the kicker, the truly mind-blowing part. The pilot's log entry for that day, it just says, staff car damaged. That's it. The pilot, a guy named Charlie Fox, had absolutely no idea that he just decapitated the entire German defense of Normandy. The system didn't care who was in the car, it just worked. All right, so let's talk about the aftermath, because this is where we see the new rules of war being written. In the wake of those 3 seconds, everything changed.
Rommel survives, but just barely. He has catastrophic head injuries, including a triple skull fracture. And while he's lying in a coma, the German front in Normandy, the very thing he was holding together with sheer willpower, completely collapses. His military career is over, right then and there. The German defense loses its best commander at the worst possible moment.
And it really all boils down to this one brutal, simple truth. You cannot outmaneuver a production line. It's just impossible. What happened on that road signaled a massive shift. Individual valor, tactical genius, all of that suddenly became obsolete when faced with the cold mathematics of industrial supremacy. The age of the heroic general, the battlefield artist, was officially over. Now, Rommel would officially die later, but his military death, that happened on that road. That was the moment his career ended. It was a 3-second burst that announced a new reality to the world. The era of the great general was over. The era of the engineer had just begun. Which leaves us with one heck of a question to think about, right? Could Rommel have actually changed the outcome in Normandy? Or was the industrial gap just too massive to overcome? Was the whole thing decided before he even got there?